This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, yesterday we covered about lookups, right? I show you how to use it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so next one is a joints, right? What we perform here in the Abinitio. So as you know, right,
Uh,
the joint. Yeah.
Kumar, what is serial and dynamic lookup? And in lookup, we have different functions like is defined and so many, right?
Is defined as normal function, right? What we discussed, right, during the filter component.
Okay. Okay. Serial and dynamic lookup. What are those?
Not a serial lookup. It's like whatever we are using the normal lookup, serial file lookup, right? If it's a serial file, it's a normal serial lookup, we can say, right? Static.
Okay.
Okay, if you can use some multi-file lookup also, as I told, right?
Hmm.
Multi-files also can be utilized as lookup files.
Okay. So the that multi-file lookups are dynamic lookups.
No, dynamic lookups are something different. Okay, so which will be
Okay.
added up right during our process. Okay, it will not have any
Okay.
kind of. We will not use this lookup file component in that case. Okay, so we'll have the
Okay.
lookup template component which we have to define. Okay, so
Okay.
when you go with the lookup template component, there itself you will not have the URL, right? You cannot define the URL.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see, we have to use the lookup template component first of all, right? And here itself, this component will have the key on DML only.
Okay.
Okay, we will not have the URL, right? That means where from where we will be defining the actual file location means you will be defining in the lookup load function, the map transformation level, right? Wherever you want to call it. Okay, so there itself we will define the lookup load function.
Okay.
Now that I'm just defining in the reformat, right? So how I'm defining? I'm defining some variable, right? Which is like a lookup member address. Okay, and the data type will be lookup identifier type here explicitly, like a string and a decimal date and right data type how we define it. So here you should define like lookup identifier type, lookup data type, and then this variable will have the data right from where you're loading from the file, right? This file is existing in the some MFS path. Okay, so the lookup load function, right? Lookup load function will take the data from this right multi-file. Okay, so that's multiple, and then we'll have four arguments totally. First argument is about the file location and then file name, and the second argument is for the index file. Okay, and the third argument index file will be null by default, right? Until and unless you use a block compressor lookup, right? You will not create any kind of index files anywhere. Okay, but whereas block compressor lookup will create a lookup file along with that, I'll have the index file, IDX file. Okay, so block compressor will be utilized only when we have so much of huge data, and then you just want to add up, and then like you want to maintain like a compressed lookup file, then you can go with the block compressor, right? And then you will have the IDX file also with reference to actual data file. So that will make you to fetch the data quickly from that block compressed look output file, right? But now here, as we are going with the dynamic lookup, so this lookup will be right. Normally, like once we started the graph execution, right? Okay, if the lookup is available, okay, so the lookup data will be loaded into the memory. Okay, so like how much memory allocation is required, right? For the graph, it will be computed. Okay, So that means each and every component will take some memory allocation. Okay, averagely from 3 MB to 10 MB of memory allocation will be done for each and every component, right? Along with that, all the components, if you have some data files which are defined as a static lookup, okay, all the lookups data also will be loaded into the memory. Okay, so when we are calling the lookup functions, right, which we discussed yesterday, those lookup function will call the data from the memory itself, not from the data file directly. It will read from the memory. Okay, that means we are even though we come across that component using the lookup function, but before I start reading the first record from the input file itself, all my lookup data is available in the lookup in the memory, right? In the memory it is available right now. Okay, and when it comes to the component where it is getting called, then it will be calling the lookup function, and then it will touch this memory and then it will read the data, right? That is a static. That means whether you have any number of n number of lookups, all the data will be loaded into the memory. That is static lookup. But dynamic lookup is what we are saying is it is getting loaded into the memory only when we trigger this transformation only, right? We are saying okay, load it now into the memory allocation. Okay.
So dynamic lookup will be used only when it is runtime, right? During runtime.
If we are saying right, dynamic lookup will not be used right out of 100%, I can say 5%, right, or 95% will use static lookups.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll have the four argument, right? Second argument will be ID. Instead of ID expel, you can pass it like null value, as you don't have right index file here. And the third argument will be lookup name, right? So your lookup name you mentioned like this member address lookup, right? This is the name of the label of the lookup, what you mentioned. So you can define this right label of the lookup, and then you can provide the behavior of the graph, behavior of the lookup, right? So we'll have some numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So each and everything will have some meaning, right? So whether it is completely loaded or not, right? Just go with the data. So we'll have some options, right? When you go with the lookup load. Okay, so we'll pass some value here, right? By default, -3. Okay, so once this data is loaded, once you write this kind of line, then the data of this lookup will be loaded into the variable. Okay, so once this variable is having whole data, right? So now come to the definition of the lookup DML, right? So whatever you define it in the actual lookup format, right? DML format, you can define here also within the reformat also. Like you can define from starting with let, and then you can define the record and end, right? Like you define the DML, right? Between the record and end only you will write in the DML, right? So you'll write all the field definitions here, okay? And then you can give some alias name at the end of the after end, right? You can give some alias name and then equal to null, right? This way, this is the like a alias will be utilized to call the data, right? If you see here, okay, just we are writing some kind of variable definition here, right? If it's null or blank, just you want to define the value of primary, right? Else you want to define this field name. Okay, and if you see, you are writing some kind of conditions here. Okay, if this condition is not met, and if this condition is satisfying this condition, any of these conditions are satisfying, then I just have one variable add to lookup, right? Flag is y. Okay, you're setting up some flag. Okay, if these conditions are met, again if this condition is met, okay, you are setting up again, you take this condition. Okay, if this flag is also y, then you are trying to assign this variable. Okay, you can see this variable is like a vector, right? Vector value. Okay, this is a temp record lookup. So vector will be starting with the record option within the square brace record, and then you specify the field name and then input field name, the field name and then actual input value. So address updated, right, is the value which I got it from this, right? The assigning here. Okay, that value it will be the address type. Again, this is the column name and this is the input value, right? New line character. Okay, so these are all the vector, right, which I am assigning here. Okay, so now lookup will have, right, this dynamic lookup will have, I need to add it, right, to the lookup. Then I'll call the lookup add function. Okay, lookup add of, so the syntax will be again lookup id equal to, okay, so that means what is the lookup id, right, identity key field equal to, so you can mention that what kind of field you want to use it as a lookup key. Okay, and then lookup template equal to the label of the lookup. Okay, and data will be, data is nothing but this is the vector, right, whatever vector you are defining, that will be your data. So it will be having 3 arguments. Okay, so this way if your conditions are met across each and every record, then only you update your lookup, right, dynamically, and this will be loaded into the memory during the runtime, right, at the specific component time only. And once that component processing is finished, then the memory allocation will be cleaned up. Okay, so this is the way, right, we will be using lookup template component. Okay, so coming to the next component, which is joins. Okay, so joins, you know, right, normally in the tables database level we'll be using the joins, right, to combine multiple data sets and then join on the based on key, right, and then pull the data, right. So inner join, left outer join, pull outer join, right outer join, right, which will be performing on the join operations. So how does the join works? Inner join.
We need master table and detail table.
So here, as we are talking about tables, okay, database, we are talking about only the tables, right? So in case of Abinitio, right? So it's not like only tables. It can be anything, table and a file, file and a file. Right? Anything we can join. So we can join up to 100 inputs for the join component, provided we have to increase the count parameter. Okay, so count should be defined. Okay, I want to define by default the count is 2. I can read 2 inputs. Okay, but if I am making the count as 4, that means 4 inputs can be connected with. Okay, so you are aware of joins, right? In a join, how the output will come, right? Left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, right?
Yes.
Okay, consider this, there's 2 inputs, right? 2 inputs, input 1 and then input 2. This input is having 2 fields. Okay, this is first input, like I have how many records? 6 records, right? 2 fields considered like 2 fields as 1 record. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records, right? Input 2. Okay, so now what is the output, right? I'll be getting when I use inner join. How many records I'll be getting? How many records I'll be getting in the left outer join? Right join. Full outer join. Inner join, how many records I'll be getting?
For inner join, we'll get only common records, right?
Yeah. Tell me the common records, right? Like maybe you can count it and then tell me. First column is a key column here, right? In both the inputs.
So I didn't get the data actually here. 1 comma A, 1 comma B, 1 comma C. Is that all one record or?
No. As I said, right? Two columns is record. Okay. Two columns is record. So in the first input, how many records we have? If I'm considering two columns as record.
You have 3 records in the first input. I mean 6 records. 6, 7 records you have in the first input.
Yeah, 7 records, right? So
Yeah.
on second input, I have 5 records.
6. Yeah, 5.
Just now you give me the output of inner join.
So you're going to get 1, 3, and 5. Data for 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, you can give me the count, just a high level count. You can
3, 6 records you're going to get.
inner join output is 6 records.
Yeah.
Bindu, is that correct? Hello.
Yeah, Kumar, just checking.
Yeah.
Four records.
See, now that's what, like when we go with the data this kind of data, right? Okay, is you'll be not be able to give the proper output. Okay, when I say 6 records or when I say 4 records, both are wrong. Okay, so like how you are doing getting 6 records, Sunita?
Actually, I did not understand the data, how you have.
No, I said
I didn't understand what is 1 comma A.
I said two columns, right? Two columns. If you're having in a file, right? How it will be having? You'll be having some separation, right?
Or 2, 1 is a column and A is a column, right?
Yeah, one is one column data, one two, like a second column data is ABC, right? First column data is 1 1 1 2 2 3 like this, right?
Okay. So I don't think anything is in common, right? Because first column you have A, B, C, and here you have 100, 200, 900.
No, yes, it is two columns, right? How do you compare it? Compare only the common column, right? As I said, take the first column.
Okay,
right?
thinking like first column is a primary key, and you are based on that first column dot one and second column dot yeah, one. That's what you are comparing, right? From the first input table, first column, and from the second input table, first column. So
Right,
you are
right,
comparing
right, right,
those two.
right.
Okay. So in that case, you will get 3, 4. 5 records.
No, that is also not correct.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you, right? So when you go with this kind of data, right? If it's a unique data, then it will be very simple to explain you, right? So if I'm giving uniquely, then you will be able to give me the answer. Okay. So let me try to give one more data here to show you, right, what kind of data it is. Okay, so now tell me how many records I'll be getting in terms of inner join. This is the second data scenario, right?
1, 1
Inner
వచ్చేసి 1.
Is it 2 records?
2 records, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're simplifying, right, the output. Okay, as you know, the what is the inner join, right, definition? How do you define it?
It's like a self join, and you get only common records in both the
No,
tables or for
no.
both the files.
Don't bring a self join and all those things here. Okay, so inner join is it will not be related to self join. Okay, self join is something different, and you'll be talking only in the kind of query level. Okay,
Okay.
but actually we will not bring the self join concept here, right? So only inner join. I am asking about only inner join. There is no dependence on self join. The inner
Okay.
join is something like it's a matching data between the two inputs based on the key value, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So here itself you are able to see it. Okay, one is available here. Okay, I have one here also, right? Two is available here. I don't have two.
Yeah.
Three is available here and there, right? Only those two are matching, so we get two records. Okay, that's
Yeah.
simple. But
Okay.
when you say here, right? Okay, so we have 1 comma A, 1 comma B, 1 comma C. That means once related records are 3 records, right?
Mm.
Okay, here itself once related records are 3 records, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we cannot take like only 3 records are getting as output, and then 3 and 3 getting matching, right? So we cannot take that way. Okay, 4 records or 5 records that way. But you can say these 3 records will get matched with these 3 records 3 into 3, 9 times. Okay, so it will be 9 times plus this 3 is available for 2 times here, it's 1 time here, plus 2 times. So 11 records will be output.
Oh,
Getting,
okay.
so first record will be there, right? This first record will go match with this, okay? And that is 1 record. Again, the first record will go with second record. It's matching second record. That's 2 records output, right? Again, 1 comma A is matching with 1900, so 3 records. So 1 comma A will match with all these 3 records. It will bring 3 records as output, right? Then go
Yeah.
with the second record similarly, right? So third record, okay? So you'll get that way 9 records, right? So similarly with the 3 also, right? Available with 2 times.
Okay. Yeah. Got it now.
Okay, so that's how we have to work with the joins, right? Matching records in both the inputs, right? So you'll get the matching data in there, right? And if it's a left outer join, it's a inner join plus extra record from left table. Okay? Even though they're not matching with the data, okay, it will be retrieving the data which is which is left over here in the left table. Okay,
Yeah.
even though there is no matching, that record will come, right? Here you can see I got 104 customer ID, right? Available here. Name is available, but location is not available. It will be populated with the null value. Okay. Okay, so right order join similar again, right? Having an extra record in the right table, but not existing in the left table, right? So that will be having null value populating in the name column. Clear?
Yes.
Clear up to here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So full order join will be right, even though it's matching or not matching, you'll get all the records. Okay, so all these joins you can achieve in the join component what we have here. So you'll have the right parameters right in the join component, which will be right important to understand this parameter. Then only you can right go and define these parameters and then can use the join component. Okay, so you have the count parameter which is available with 2 by default. That means it will need 2 inputs. Okay, by default it will need 2 inputs. So if you increase the count value, okay, if you increase the count value, then it will increase these kind of ports, right? We have input port for this, reject ports are available, error ports, unused ports. Okay, so similarly we have the parameters, right? You can see we can have the parameters, right? So like record, required, dedupe, override keys, key, select, right? All these parameters also will be increasing. Okay, so if the count is increases, all these changes you can see in the component. And next thing is we have the sorted input parameter, right?
Kumar,
Sorted
count means it's number of keys we are comparing from both the inputs.
number of inputs. How many
Number
inputs
of.
we have, right? By default, 2 inputs, right?
Okay.
If I want to increase this number of inputs, then I can go with the count increase,
Okay.
right?
Got it.
So when I increase the count, obviously you'll see the parameters and ports, right? Whatever is available in the current join component, that will get changed. It will increase, right? It will get increase.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, and next is a sort input parameter. So where the sort input parameter is having 2 values, so which are like input must be sorted and in-memory input need not be sorted. Okay, so in this case, instead of these two options in the current version of GDE, you'll find the true or false, right? True or false options. Okay, so the true option is something like equivalent to input must be sorted option, and false option is something like in-memory input need not be sorted. Okay, so when we go with the first option, what you understand? Input must be sorted means it must be sorted. Okay, it must be sorted. So before the join component. Okay, input need not be sorted. What did I understand that? It will be sorted within the component level using the max core memory. Okay, using the max core value. So I just given some of the parameters, right? Like a flagging kind of thing, right? So that means when you come across this option 1, then only you'll see this max memory parameter. Okay. When you see the option number 2, then only you can see this max core and then driving parameters. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, so these parameters will be coming into picture only relevant option has been selected across these parameters. Right? When I selected a joint apache explicit, then only you can see these two parameters coming up into this parameter list. Okay, so when I go with the option number 1, right, data is already sorted outside of the component, right? So this will have the maximum available, which is a value, which will be utilized only for joining operation, right? Data is already sorted. This memory location is only useful for bringing up the join, right? It will perform the join operation within this memory location. And when we go with the second option, in-memory option, that means I am going to sort the data within the component. So with the option 2, you will bring the max core parameter into parameter list, and even the driving parameter will comes into picture. So how this max core parameter is available? So we have it in the sort also, right? So where we have 8 MB value, 100 MB value, right, in the sort component, 100 MB value in the sort component. So here it's the 64 MB part available here. So this memory allocation, what it does, if the memory is sufficient to store all the data, it will perform. Yes, extra time. Okay, those temporary files will be existing on the your host machine level on completion of right. Once you finished up right your graph processing, those temporary files will be removed. Clear?
Yes.
Yes. And Kumar, this 64 MB and 8 MB is standard or it can vary with the version?
No, it's a standard one.
Okay.
Okay, so that we understand, and we have the driving parameter also available, right? So what is the driving parameter is? Driving parameter is nothing but it's the largest data input. Okay, whichever is the largest data set, then that is called as a driving input. Okay, so that means if I have more number of records, right? If I have more number of records, okay, let's say that I have two inputs, right? Integer in one, right? So between these two inputs, which is the driving input as per the data? Integer or in one?
In 0.
Integer is your input, right? Driving input, right? As per the definition, you understand that it's a integer is your driving input, and the driving parameter is what it is pointing to, 0, right? The driving parameter is 0. If the driving parameter is 0, that means integer is your driving input. Okay. If the driving parameter is 0, that means integer is your driving input. Okay. Other one is non-driving input. So we will be distinguishing which is driving and which is non-driving input by this, right? So what is the benefit of this is nothing but when we go with the max core memory, right, utilization to use it to sort the data, it will sort only the non-driving data. Okay, it will sort only the non-driving data. Okay, so in that case, whenever you click on the right, whenever you're selecting the non-driving data, which is your non-driving data here, 1000 records, right? So max core memory will be good enough if you go with the larger volumes or small volumes, right? So when we go with the larger volume, definitely it may not sufficient, right? The memory allocation might not be sufficient, and then it writes the temporary files and all, right? If I'm going with the maximum data, then that is the case. If you go with the low volume, it may adjust with the available memory, right? Okay, so like leaving driving parameter, non-driving parameter will be considered to maximum memory to store the data, right? So it will be sufficient most of the times, right? So when you go, when you're not using properly between these two, right? So integer in one, right? Which is your driving input? as per the definition? In0 is a driving input or in1 is a driving input?
In1.
In1, right? So if I'm defining a driving as 0, right, what is the, as per this parameter, what is the driving input? Like or 10,000? As per the
It's 10K.
definition, 10K will be driving, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then 1 lakh records will be considered into the maximum memory. Right? So
Okay.
whichever is the driving non-driving input, leave it, and then you take the right. Whichever is the driving input, leave it, and then you take the non-driving input into the memory like in and then right. So most of the times you have less volumes, uh, right? It will be available. Okay, if you have less volume, definitely that would be good. Have it, under this okay, and then it will perform the non-driving data into the right max core memory, and then it performs a joining operation. Okay, so now we understand the importance of the driving parameter. That's what, like, okay, if you are not changing also properly, you will face some kind of performance issues, right? Otherwise, there is no failures. Okay, you can choose anyway. If you're not knowing the capacity volumes of the data files, right? Definitely you cannot define it properly. But later on, once you decide any kind of data volumes, then you can edge this. Okay, and the key parameter next is the key parameter available. So key is a join column, on which column we want to join. Okay, on which column is the key column, right? Which is on the joining key column. If the key column is different, right, then definitely you use this account and the other field name in the account override given. So account number, whenever you select the key, it will be selecting from the integer only. Okay, from in1 you have something else, right? Account ID. Okay, you understand, right? So if the field name is different, then you would go and define this keys, override keys. Okay, and transformation. So this is the mapping, right, between the integer and in1. Okay, so transformation is like from mapping from integer in1, right? So if you have the same DML, how do you match it? From which input you have to take it? If I have same DML between the integer in1, suppose I have the student ID and name of the student. Okay, it's available in integer and in1, right? So from where I have to map it? Okay, it all depends upon your requirement, right? So which input will have priority, as per that input priority, we have to define it. Okay, and the join type value, like we have the inner join, right, available with the inner join option, which is the default option. We have the full auto join option, and then we have the explicit option, right? So this explicit will bring this to right record required parameters available, right? So inner join and full auto join are straightforward, but if you want to define left right joins, you have to define the record required parameter, right? So if it's 0, you go on. Okay, if it's a 0, record required 0 and 1, right? How will they work? Like you can see by default they are true, but if I want left out join, so which should be left, so the left table should be having the true condition. Okay, this is right join, that means the right input, right? It will be the true condition. Okay, so as for this, we can work with the left or right joins otherwise. Okay, these two bits will not yes, right? Not a explicit join. Okay, so next is the dedupe 0 and dedupe 1, so which is to remove the duplicate records between the inputs. So if you have the duplicates available on the keys, you can just define it. So it will remove the duplicate records. And select 0, select 1 is something like input data, right? So which data you want to get select from the input. Okay, it's optional. So most of the parameters are like optional. Only a few things, right, which are important here, so that you can define those. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm connecting this unused ports also. Okay, I'll be reading the same table from both the inputs. Okay, and the same also has one more table. Okay, I'm taking the same table. Okay, I'm coming to the parameters. So port will be having the same, right, same as of input table read. Okay, so now you can change it to embedded option and then let it be same DML. Why? Because we are not changing anything. Okay, and then you connect these files. Okay, so it will be. So now you can define the parameters. So which column is a key column here? I want to define with employee number. Input must be sorted. I'm not sorting. So take it as in-memory option. And then I can map from in0 or in1. So I just want to from in1. Right. So once you execute it, so whatever it is matching, it will match, and then it will get the values, right? Okay, you'll get the data. Okay. So these unused blocks are not matching blocks, right? If whatever matching records he is the input, right? From 0, if I not matching, then it will come from 0. Right? From the in 1, if there is not matching, that will come from the unused 1. So these ports, right, it's optional. You connect to the file, you can write it to, otherwise they'll be empty. Right? So we need to write condition of this jar.
Okay.